Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of The Daily. It's Friday, August 5th, here with Greg Lawless. I'm Nick Fershaw, and Greg, we've got a lot of news to get to, but let's start with the biggest news from Thursday. That's the announcement of the U.S. roster against Mexico for next week's game. 7 guys from MLS on this roster. Some surprises, some new guys. What did you think?
I think at first glance, you say these are a lot of the same guys that Bob Bradley would have called in if he had remained as coach. But Jurgen Klinsmann did bring a couple of surprises. I think the biggest name that sticks out is Bill Hamid. Supposedly Tim Howard is his buddy, and he actually recommended that Hamid get in there. It's good to see a young goalkeeper called up to the national team to get a little bit of experience. I think Jurgen Klinsmann also showed that he's been watching MLS of late. Brek Shea getting called in. He's been playing very well the last couple of months. So obviously Jurgen Klinsmann going to maybe use him in a different way than Bradley did that first chance that Brek Shea got with the national team. And last one, I think a little bit of a surprise, Kyle Beckerman. We've all talked about how he deserves to be in this pool, but he never really got that chance with Bob Bradley. Obviously, it's a crowded central midfield for the U.S. pool, but it's nice to see Beckerman. I think maybe Klinsmann watched him in the All-Star game, and he looked very good when he came on for the All-Stars against Manchester United.
Kyle Beckerman, of course, he played in that Gold Cup in 2009. Yeah. We saw him then. This is another great chance for him. There's a lot of other big names on there. Obviously, Freddie Adu is back, Juan Agudelo of the New York Red Bulls, and a host of other players. You can find the complete roster on MLSsoccer.com, and again, that game is Wednesday against Mexico down at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. Let's move on to some big-time MLS news for the Houston Dynamo. Carlo Costley, Greg, this Honduran attacker, this is one of the stars for Honduras in the Gold Cup, and this shores up that Houston attack that's needed some help.
Yeah, it does. And you think about some of the injuries they've had. Will Bruin has gone down recently, so they needed to replace something, and Carlo Costley is a massive replacement for him. He's got size, he's got power, and he actually has pretty good mobility for his size in particular. He's one of those players that I think everyone thought he should have come to MLS maybe 4 years ago when he sort of broke out at the Gold Cup in 2007. This year around, though, I mean, I think this is a great pickup for Houston. He's going to provide not only depth, but just, I think, in the beginning, right off the bat, he's going to be dangerous in this league.
One other signing we want to mention, it's out at Chivas USA. They go out and get Laurent Courtois. He's a French winger, Greg. He's going to add a little bit to the attack for Chivas USA as they look to climb up those Western Conference standings. Let's take a look at some of the biggest games this weekend. The Colorado Rapids playing host to the Columbus Crew, Fox Soccer Night in America on Friday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Greg, we saw these two teams meet in the postseason last year, and they're very good again this time around.
Yeah, they are. Columbus, obviously, right now on top of the Eastern Conference. We maybe didn't expect that, but they are there, and they seem very confident the way they're playing. But this is a resurgent Colorado Rapids team starting to find their form, even though Connor Casey went down with that season-ending injury. Santi Niasi being pushed into the attack alongside Omar Cummings. That provides a very speedy front line for the Rapids, and that 2-1 win that they got at Philadelphia last week did wonders, I think, for their confidence. This will be a very tough game for Columbus to get a result at Dick's Sporting Goods Park.
Another big East-West matchup out in the Mountain Time Zone. RSL and New York. This one's on Saturday night at 9 p.m. You can follow along on Matchday Live. Two teams, Greg, that both need a win very badly.
And New York coming off that great victory in London in the Emirates Cup where they drew with Arsenal and they beat Paris Saint-Germain. So you have to expect they're going to have some confidence, maybe even be a little bit rested. They had this entire week off to try and rest their legs. There was news for New York that Luke Rogers might need surgery. He's going to be out for at least another 3 weeks, so they don't have him. But if Thierry Henry continues to score, they'll be fine. On the other side, Real Salt Lake struggling right now. Their own coach sort of wondering what's going on with this team. 2 losses in a row for the formidable Real Salt Lake side. Their last game at home, they actually lost. We talked about Fortress Rio Tinto. Well, the Fortress was penetrated in the last game at home. So can New York get a result? It's going to be difficult. These two teams have had some great matches over the years. I expect another one on Saturday.
You mentioned Jason Kreis saying that another loss, a 3rd straight for RSL, would be monstrously bad. You don't hear that kind of rhetoric all the time. Let's move on to probably the biggest game of the weekend, certainly in the Western Conference, the LA Galaxy playing host to FC Dallas, 10:30 p.m. Eastern on Saturday night. You can follow along on Matchday Live. Greg, this is what we expect, the 2 best teams in MLS.
Yeah, and obviously the Galaxy know how to get a result, except they didn't do it on Wednesday in Portland. So the Timbers came out with a 3-0 victory over LA. You have to imagine the Galaxy are pretty angry about this. They talked about it. David Beckham actually said it was embarrassing in that result, and Bruce Arena talked about how they were basically beaten all over the field. So they're going to be motivated in this one. Dallas coming off the advancement in the CONCACAF Champions League from midweek. And, you know, they've been playing a lot of games recently, Dallas. Midweek last week in Champions League, then over the weekend, and then again at home midweek on Wednesday. So this will be their 4th game in about 10 days. So there are going to be issues with their legs, I think. I think this is a game that the Galaxy should be able to get, purely not because Dallas are not a better team necessarily, but because the Galaxy know how to get a result, and Dallas are struggling right now in terms of fitness.
One last game we want to mention. It's the end of the World Football Challenge. Barcelona and Club America, Greg, on Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern. This is the end of this tournament. We've seen so many great players, so many great stars. What did we learn from this one?
Well, this has been a fantastic tournament all the way through. We've seen all these great players come through, and I think there's been a lot of energy in the soccer world here in North America regarding all of these players and getting to see them. Obviously, the MLS teams didn't do as well as they would have expected, but let's not forget, Barcelona right now also have not gotten a win since they've arrived in the U.S. shores here. So this is their final chance to get a result. They're coming off that 4-1 loss to Chivas de Guadalajara. Can they beat the other Mexican giant, Club America? That remains to be seen, but they're getting closer and closer to their regular season start. So I think Pep Guardiola for Barcelona is going to want to put out his best team and go out there and try and get a win in this one.
Again, that game Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and ESPN Deportes. And want to also mention, if you haven't heard the latest edition of Extra Time Radio from Thursday, we had Grant Wall from Sports Illustrated to talk about that U.S. roster selection, as well as Shellis Heineman, the FC Dallas head coach, to preview that LA Galaxy game. You can check that out on iTunes and Buzzsprout. And for all the latest headlines, log on to MLSsoccer.com.